idea of separation of church and state, freedom of religion, and the idea that the church should have nothing to do with politics because not everybody in this country is religious and not everybody in this country believes the same thing. So how on earth can you possibly have taxation with the representation of people that are representative of people that don't believe in something? Are you following me on this one? We're not supposed to have church and state commingled, but we really do, and it's disgusting and it's disgraceful 100,000,000%. Not knocking anybody's spiritual beliefs in any way, shape, or form, but no. So effing stupid. We are the punchline to the joke of the rest of the civilized world because of this. Like I said, they view us as semi-evolved simians that are picking fleas off of each other and eating them. They're like, see that televangelist? That ridiculous guy who buys airtime on cable networks? That guy can influence votes. And then they laugh at us. Not saying that their leaders are any better when it comes to actually doing the job of running countries, but it does make the rest of the world rightly look at us as being significantly less evolved, bottom line. And there's great money to be made off of religion and politics in this country. And fear-mongering against gay people, well, the reason why you're seeing so much of that is because we're coming up on a time of equality for gay people. What's equality? Equality is power. And the thing that scares people with power the most is that you're going to get some. So they're railing against the idea that people could have equality and the power that it entails. And they're also railing against gay marriage because they feel like, okay, we've got to milk the last drops out of this hateful cash cow before it goes away forever. And that's why you're seeing such an upturn in people fighting gay. Idiot priests trying to do exorcisms of entire states because they feel as though allowing gay marriage is demonic possession. So that's how you make money off of fear and division in the world of religion and politics. Let's talk about race and civil rights. See, the church is an excellent disguise for profiting off of hate mongering because it's a church. It's kind of beyond reproach. It's unquestionable. Hey, that doesn't seem right. God moves in mysterious ways. Give me your money and hate some gays. Same as civil rights. You talk about civil rights. Well, that's equality. That seems like a good thing. Again, kind of sort of beyond reproach when you're saying I'm working for civil rights. People are going to pat you on the back and be like, hey, that's good. I like civil rights. Civil rights are a good thing. See, I've grown up seeing no difference really when it comes to race. I didn't experience racism until I was like 16, 17 years old. And I remember being with this group of guys and they all wanted to go get teen wasted. And they're like, well, we can't buy beer here. We got to go over to N-word town to buy beer. That was the first time in my life that I'd experienced racism, ever. We got to go to N-word town to buy beer. And I was like, that person's gross. I don't want to hang out with them. I was like, yeah, you go where you got to go. I'm going to be over here, not hanging out with people I find to be awful. Yet it feels like we're more divided. I look at racism. I look at race rights. I look at divisions of race and civil rights and things like that. And I kind of went, okay, that wasn't my problem. I'm not a racist. That was Abraham Lincoln's problem. He freed the slaves. And, well, then, you take us up to the race riots of the 60s. And that was supposed to be it. Thought we had equality. And in my mind, from my perspective, we do. I don't treat people differently because of their race. In my little world, this doesn't exist. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist at all, but I know a lot of people are like me. I know a lot of people I grew up with are like me. So why are we feeling a sense of division greater in this country than we have in our lifetimes? In my lifetime, why am I feeling like this is new? Why am I feeling like the black-white standoff in this country in places like Ferguson, Missouri? Why does that seem like a new thing to me? Why have I not experienced this before in my life? And what is pushing us to the point where it exists? What is pushing black people to the point where this exists? The only time I ever hear about Al Sharpton, or from Al Sharpton, or Jesse Jackson, the only time I ever hear from him is when a white person kills a young African American. Terrible tragedy. Terrible, awful, horrendous tragedy. But let's take the situation in Ferguson for 1 second, shall we? Let's assume that all the worst things you can assume are true. Let's assume that the cop that shot Michael Brown was a crazy racist with an itchy trigger finger who set out to murder an innocent young black man. Let's assume all of that is true. How does heaving a brick through a convenience store window help? How does getting a new television set help? How does any of this help get any sort of justice out of the situation? What does it do other than inflame the situation, make it worse, make divisions worse, set it up to where we could have that happen again that much more easily? I kind of lay the blame at the feet of folks like Al Sharpton, at the feet of folks like Jesse Jackson. Certainly not for the terrible tragedy that occurred. Hear me on this one. But in terms of stirring the pot, making things worse, when they do have an ability to make things better. Sharpton, he's an inflammatory guy. His words, his actions, they almost always make the situation more volatile. I've never once read an article or seen a news segment in my life. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know everything. I'm not freaking omnipotent. But my general sense is that I never have really come across a story where Al Sharpton was campaigning for, I don't know, better education in African American communities. Never seen him campaigning against the large number of African Americans on welfare, 39.8%. Or the huge number of African American youth unemployed, 23.8%. Now, look, these are all issues that I feel are a little bit more germane to the problem. I think a kid with an education, whether they're white, black, brown, whatever, is that much better off. Kid with an education is less likely to hold up a liquor store in this country. Kid with an education on the other side of the world is less likely to strap a bomb on his chest because he knows or she knows that there's a sense of possibility. There's more out there than the little world that they were born into. That sense of possibility sets people free. So, rather than stirring the pot when a tragedy happens, Sharpton could be using his considerable resources to campaign for African American unemployed, campaign for African American education. You know what else? Never seen Sharpton get mad by never seen him get mad or outraged or do any sort of real campaigning against the overwhelming number of black on black crimes that happen in this country. Now, I know that sounds like an abstract, so let's get some facts and figures, shall we? According to the folks over the Department of Justice, African Americans are around 13% of the population. They're 50% of the homicide victims. 90% of those victims killed by other African Americans. Sharpton, Jackson, going in, stirring up the pot, making things worse, making us more divided than we were a week ago, making us more divided than we were a year ago, making us more divided than I felt we were growing up as a child, where I genuinely didn't find racism anywhere in my daily life. Sharpton stirring the pot for his own fiscal gain, for his own public profile, for his own ability to go out, campaign, make money. He's making it more difficult for African Americans to get the justice that they deserve. So I lay this division in this country at the feet of people like him that would seek to divide us for profit white, black. Why should it matter anymore? Well, it matters because money can be made off of it, and that's a terrible wrongdoing. And I urge you not to be sucked in by any of this on either side. You know how a lot of times you feel like it's cool to turn the